Hi, I'm here with Pat Gratoville at Palos Verdes Country Club. Pat, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Pat Gratoville. Graduated from Iowa State in the mid-'80s. Worked with Pete and Perry Dye out of college at Kohler at the Black Wolf Run courses. After that, I went to New Jersey. We did a renovation on a golf course in northern New Jersey, and then went overseas and built a golf course in South Korea, 100 kilometers south of Seoul. After that, we went back to Denver. My wife and I had our first child, and then it was off to Singapore. We built a golf course near the airport in Singapore, and then came to California, worked at a Dye course over in Los Alamitos, and I've been at Palos Verdes for about 14 years.
Wow. Okay, so you've been all over the world.
Seen a lot.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about Palos Verdes and maybe how it compares or contrasts to other courses you've worked at?
One of the greatest places in the world. Our weather is phenomenal, very coastal influential. If we hit 80, it's a real hot day for us. We get a lot of coastal fog. One of our biggest challenges is probably sunlight, because we have so much fog being along the coast and clouds and so forth. Very low disease pressure because we get a pretty good sea breeze in the afternoons, late morning, afternoon, so it's fairly dry, so we don't see a whole lot of disease pressure. Kikuyugrass is is our predominant species that we have, which is a little unusual. Not a lot of kikuyugrass in the world. It actually came from Australia. And greens are poa bent, and then the fairways are predominantly kikuyugrass. The roughs are kikuyu with some ryegrass, and tees are mostly bentgrass.
Okay. So you said one of your problems is sunlight. So how do you deal with that?
We've actually started using quite a few more amino acids, and the amino acid does a great job with photosynthesis. Just helps the plant get through the stress times of lack of sunlight. It's almost like cheating with sunlight. You know, sunlight in a bottle, I like to say.
Oh wow, okay, cool. So was it hard to adjust to being able to maintain the kikuyugrass and these greens, or mostly like where are all your other courses that you've been at? Like
I was in construction in the early, Black Wolf, I was the assistant superintendent. That was bentgrass, fairways, greens, and tees, and then we had cool season, mostly Kentucky bluegrass in the roughs. Going to the warm season turf, really not a big adjustment. Biggest adjustment is probably just the fact that we're 365, 24/7. It just doesn't stop out here.
Jeez. That's, yeah, it's probably difficult to maintain 365 days a year, especially with tournaments such as this big college tournament now. So what do you do to prepare for this?
There's not a lot we can really do. Mother Nature dictates. In February, we only get rain from about December through February, March. So it's in the rain season. Cold nights, short days. So we try to increase the fertility a little bit, but it's really up to Mother Nature as far as what we get. If it's a cold winter, we're not quite as green. Everything's a little bit semi-dormant. We don't go completely dormant most years here. Kikuyugrass, one of the great characteristics is it does not go completely off color like the Bermuda grasses do.
Okay.
So we maintain fairly good color throughout the year.
Okay. So does that, irrigation-wise, how does that work?
With the rains in the winter, we don't irrigate a whole lot this time of year. Tees, again, they're bentgrass predominantly, so we get a little bit of irrigation on tees, but fairways and so forth, we can go weeks at a time in the winter without irrigating.
Okay. So I noticed this is one of the practice greens. It looks like you've maybe aerated it. So can you just tell us a little bit about what's going on here?
Yeah, we aerified this last week. Actually looking at purchasing a new aerifier, and the only time the guy could get the piece of equipment out was last week. So we aerified this. They're 5/8 inch tines that we used on a 2-inch by 2-inch center. And on the other side of the green, we used all of the 3 different hole spacings that the machine does, just to see what the capacity is of the machine and how it works on our greens. and we really liked what we saw, so I've got a request in to purchase one of these.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you also said like most of the grass is affected by environmental stuff, and was it disease resistant pretty much, or pest resistant? And so is there any examples? So have you had any problems before?
We get brown patch in fairways. One of the big problems with the kikuyugrass is the susceptibility to brown patch in the winter months, or any prolonged irrigation. So if it's cold and wet, great environment for cool season brown patch. One of the things we fight, we actually applied a fungicide in December to treat the disease that we had on fairways. But again, that's the biggest problem with the kikuyu. Gray leaf spot has been an issue in years past, but we've learned a lot about that disease. So if you can keep the salts down, the disease doesn't seem to do quite as bad.
Okay. All right. So this is also kind of for golfers as well. So we're just wondering, what's something that irritates you maybe the most that golfers do, that you wish you could tell every golfer out there?
Just leave the golf course in a better position than when you walked onto it. This morning we had everything in great shape. Walking several of the greens, we've got probably 50 members out playing before the tournament today. And all I saw was ball marks and divots, fresh divots and fresh ball marks everywhere around the golf course. Splashing sand onto the green, not raking the bunkers properly. I mean, we do everything we can to leave it as perfect as we can. And within an hour, you couldn't tell that maintenance was out here. It looked like we'd just taken the day off. So leave the golf course in a better position than when you got out. And it was one of the things that I learned in junior golf many years ago, and it just seems like it's a lost art today, that people don't really, it's somebody else's job.
Yeah. Okay, well thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Hi, today I'm here with Gentagon Jen Palencia. Gentagon, do you know much about grass at all?
No.
No? Do you know what kind of grass this is that we're playing on?
Green.
Great. Okay. Well, we're back in Thailand. She is from Thailand. Do you know what you play on there?
It's kind of similar to Florida. Florida is hot, like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of same thing as Florida.
Okay, so perhaps Bermuda. So when you're playing this week on these greens, are you going to have to adjust in any way to them, or what's your plan going into this week?
Just Pat, like, I really don't know about glass. Like, maybe you have to tell me, because I have no idea. Like, do you have to do anything to change?
Oh, well, I guess it depends on what kind of player you are and what you like and prefer, so.